Welcome back to the One Dream podcast. I'm Leah Wilson, and today we are here joined by Colton Moore, who Stand for Health Freedom proudly endorses in Georgia's 14th Congressional District special election, which is happening very soon, March 10th. And this is the seat that Marjorie Taylor Greene vacated, and now there are 16 candidates from a single party and a few others all racing to be the next congressional representative for Georgia's 14th district. So, Colton, thank you so much for being here. We're glad to have you.
Absolutely. It's a great battery boost to be on a show that is that's all about the same things you're about. So this will be a great interview.
Absolutely. And before we get into the campaign, I have to start by asking you about something that put you in the media just a few short months ago or a year ago about your arrest attempting to enter the Georgia House chamber
hmm
during the State of the Union, if I remember correctly. So take us back to that day. What happened?
Yeah. So the corrupt Speaker of the House, John Burns, unconstitutionally decided that I wouldn't be allowed to attend the joint session of the State of the State, which is where the governor gives the State of the State. I have a constitutional obligation as a state senator to attend. It's voted on unanimously by both the Senate and the House that we're going to have a State of the State. It just so happened that we were going to have it in the House chamber in which he's the Speaker. And so he unconstitutionally said I wasn't allowed. He lined up 18 state troopers and a bunch of black curtains, told the media they couldn't come in and film. And the media busted in. Of course, your viewers may have seen that on the news. I was tackled to the ground by the Speaker's attorney. Turns out that attorney, who is the Speaker's general counsel, never has passed the bar in Georgia. So he's practicing law without a license. I get arrested for a misdemeanor. It's unconstitutional to arrest a senator for a misdemeanor. You can arrest a legislator for a felony. You can't arrest them for a misdemeanor. I ended up taking the case. I'm still out on bail. No prosecutor in Georgia has taken up the case yet. But the attorney, I went to the magistrate court in Atlanta, the only Republican magistrate judge there, and tried to get him arrested. Just basically probable cause, the lowest standard of the law, for practicing law without a license, assault, and interfering with a legislator while they're conducting legislative business. The magistrate judge in that case quivered in his voice as he says, "I find no probable cause." And that goes to the Superior Court then. We appeal to the Superior Court. The Superior Court, we get there. None of the files from the magistrate court had made it to the Superior Court. This is months later, so they were trying to delay further. And ultimately, that judge said, we need an independent jurist. I'm going to send this back to the magistrate court, in which they then appeal. So now we're sitting in the Georgia Court of Appeals for basic probable cause of assault, practicing law without a license, and interfering with a legislator while conducting legislative business. So at some point in this process, somebody's going to have to stand up and say, I actually believe the thing that I swore an oath to, the Constitution, and they're going to have to bring justice to this situation. But right now, it's in total limbo still. And they just keep digging themselves a deeper hole. You know, you would think the fake attorney who threw me down onto the ground, you think he might get demoted, but he hasn't. He's actually gotten promoted. He is now the general counsel of the entire House of Representatives of Georgia. So the first time that's happened in the state's history, and hopefully we bring justice to it and it never happens again.
Wow. And so was the Georgia Speaker of the House, what was his original justification for saying that you were not allowed on the chamber floor?
So he has no justification whatsoever. I mean, he basically violated my rights in two ways. He said I couldn't say what I had said in the Senate, which is a violation of my freedom of speech. And then he came out and he said, if I would just apologize for the things that I've said in the state Senate, that he would give me the right back. So that's compelled speech. So that's another violation of my rights. I mean, if you look at the federal law, the guy should be prosecuted federally, the Speaker of the House himself, and should be in a federal penitentiary right now. But ultimately, it's very difficult to bring justice in this world right now in our current government.
It absolutely is. At any point were you just tempted to walk away and be like, what's happening is wrong. I'm just going to walk away.
Absolutely not. It's wrong. And my job as a state senator, I mean, the people elected me to serve in that position to represent their voice. I have a constitutional obligation to attend. I woke up that day just like any other day and proceeded with my business. And, that's that's what I believe in. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in freedom. And ultimately, if we're not willing to fight for it, then the evil side wins and we just live in tyranny.
So when you were actually arrested, what went through your mind?
I thought, man, this is absolutely ridiculous. Hopefully it exposes how corrupt these people really are. I mean, we've been preaching how corrupt they are for a long time, but until people actually see it, and a lot of people saw it. I mean, there were 500 million views of my arrest. I mean, it made international news. Third world countries were laughing at us because America is supposed to be the land of the free, and we're seeing this type of corruption. And the other big problem that it has is it has a chilling effect on everyone else. So the people who saw this that are in the legislature, they become then afraid to speak out themselves because they're worried that their rights and their liberties are going to be taken away. But if we don't have the right to speak out, then we have no freedom at all.
Absolutely. So after all the corruption you witnessed and after witnessing Marjorie Taylor Greene's departure from her seat, why run for Congress? Like, why elevate the level of corruption you're kind of entering into, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, these capitals, they're clearly principalities. They're battles of good and evil. I mean, the Capitol, I've seen more evil in the Georgia Capitol than I've seen anywhere else in the world. I frankly think Washington, D.C. is probably one of the most evil places in the entire world. But if we don't fight it, then it's just going to overtake our lives. And I mean, we saw this during COVID when our freedoms were ripped away from us. We had as elected officials, as legislators, I have it really easy. All I have to do is run my mouth, right? I just have to go to the microphone and speak. But you think about all the people who risked their lives, the people who died in the effort for us in hopes of having freedom. I think about those folks at Normandy who stormed the beaches and lost their brothers right next to them. I mean, they were fighting in the hopes that the next generation would have freedom. And here we have a fight where we're not shooting bullets at one another, but we just have to go to the microphone and share ideas. So I think I have it really easy, quite frankly. But I mean, if I want to see the next generation have a great life, and I don't want the burdens of this generation to be passed on to them. So that's why I'm in this fight now.
And you're running in a district previously represented by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And have you spoken with her? I think it's fair to say that she shared some of your views, that she
Mhm.
wanted to fight against this evil. So has she offered advice or support in being effective in this position?
She's talked to some members of my staff along the way. I mean, there's a lot of people who worked on her campaign that are working on my campaign. And, quite frankly, she's like, the president hasn't endorsed you because I personally believe, this is her words, that the president probably has, some great dirt on my opponent. And they want somebody who's going to toe the line no matter what when they get to Congress. And they don't have that with me. So it's unfortunate that she resigned when she did. It kind of put us in a political mess here at home, but she's gone about her life now, and we've got to move forward and fill this seat with a true constitutionalist.
I mean, it's a very crowded race, 16 from your party alone. So, what distinguishes you from the other candidates in this special election?
It's kind of like purchasing tea. Like you can look at a tea and you say, oh, that looks like a tasty tea. But until the hot water hits it, you really don't know what it tastes like. And that's the difference between me and these other candidates is I've been through the hot water of all the different issues that are relevant to this campaign. And, you can say a lot of things, but until you've proven yourself in the actions, we don't really know what you taste like when the hot water hits you. So that's the main distinction.
Stand for Health Freedom decided to endorse you because you share our values, our constitutional values, our values for ethics in medicine, for morality of individual sovereignty and choice. So, do you have a top priority if elected to Congress that addresses health freedom issues?
No, absolutely. I mean, in the state house, I introduced legislation to make ivermectin over the counter. I personally have an ivermectin speakeasy, if you will, to where if I get sick, I know I can go get some ivermectin. It should be available to everyone. I've talked to many doctors about this. In addition, we've got to eliminate all these vaccine schedules. I mean, it is very clear that the vaccines that we're giving kids are not beneficial to society going forward. And that's gotten way out of control. That needs to be brought back. I mean, there's a lot of different issues. Think about food. I'm going to be a proud sponsor of the Prime Act. I mean, here in Northwest Georgia, we've got a lot of cattle, and we're losing a lot of those cattle very quickly because there's no profit when you have to raise cattle and sell it to one of the big four cartel packers, and they're making more money than your local farmer is. And then meanwhile, our local constituents here aren't able to buy fresh beef.
Mm.
And the reason being is because the USDA has regulated themselves in such a way that it's not profitable or viable for you to go buy local beef right now. And I mean, that's the way it's existed for thousands of years. People have been able to purchase their groceries locally, and that's when you have true healthy food, not just processed stuff for the masses.
Yeah, it was really sad to see Georgia as one of the first states to fall, and I hope there aren't any more. I hope it's Georgia and North Dakota only, to this pesticide immunity shield.
Hmm.
And we talked to Georgia farmers along the way. We fought so hard, and it was still passed into law in Georgia to protect the pesticide manufacturers from harm that their products do without warning the public. So, what do you think about the Farm Bill now including that same liability shield in Congress?
No, it's absolutely nonsense. And this is the way Congress likes to operate. They love these big omnibus bills where they just pack a bunch of stuff in there and then force votes on it. I mean, I was the only Republican in Georgia to vote against that legislation here. And to me, I mean, whether you agree or disagree, if you're a farmer in South Georgia and like, I've got to protect these nasty chemicals, just go back to the general constitution. I mean, we have a Seventh Amendment. We have a right to a jury trial. Let this thing be sorted out in court. I mean, don't just blanket an immunity out there. I mean, you're just creating tyranny. People have no form of justice. They have no remedy to when they are affected by these things. So I'm the only Republican who's voted against tort reform. I want to protect the Constitution. I mean, that's what our government is designed to do, is to protect our God-given rights. And when the legislature goes in there and says, actually, no, we're not going to protect these things anymore, this set of negative documents called the Bill of Rights, which protects government overreach, it's just a dangerous situation because it's a ratcheting effect, and once these things get passed, they're very hard to undo.
You know, what we find is a lot of these lawmakers at the state level don't understand what they're passing. They don't know that what they're passing takes away the average person's day in court. And once you tell them, a lot of them will flip their votes. But in
Hmm.
Georgia, it was really tough to get the attention of these lawmakers who thought they were simply standing up for farmers. And, you know, we're pro farmer. We want the farmers to win, and we believe it's possible for them to win and have transparency. So, do you believe that Congress has ceded too much authority to the federal agencies
A
like
hundred
HHS?
percent. Yes, absolutely. I mean, Congress gives away its power each and every day to the executive branch. Once again, it's another one of those ratcheting effects. Once you give away this power, it's very hard to rein it back in. And I mean, Congress, it's just become a giant rubber stamp. And if we had a great president, a liberty-minded president, then that'd be okay. But unfortunately, I don't think we've ever had a true liberty-minded president.
I think the illusion is that you get into a government seat and then you can solve all of the people's problems that are brought to you. And it's like, but wait, the first question we have to ask is this the government's problem to solve?
Right.
And I think
Exactly.
that's where we've gone sideways and kind of broken our nation is by looking to the government to solve everything at the expense of privacy, economic stability. So, should government ever mandate medical treatment?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's not the proper role of government. I mean, government's role is very, very simple. It is to promote a society and protect God given rights. I mean, that's how the American form of government was designed, right? That's why we have the Bill of Rights. And then ultimately, I mean, we should be spending money on infrastructure, right? You look at the ancient Romans, the ancient Syrians, they spent every tax dollar they had on roads and infrastructure because it built a society. And then once that society is built, you have general public safety, the military, the police, in order to protect that society. But when it comes to getting involved in people's health and their well being and mandating vaccines and those types of things, absolutely not. I mean, that's just tyranny.
Mm. So, do you think our rights are currently properly protected from the next pandemic overreach?
No, I don't think so. I mean, ultimately, I think the best protection we have right now is there are so many people who lived through 2020, and we're not going to allow the government to just, put the paper bag over our heads, like this, figuratively speaking, like they did in 2020. And I think that's our best protection now. I don't think it's going to happen necessarily in our generation because we recognize how quick tyranny can happen literally within weeks of having this big fear mongering that we saw. But the next generation, they're going to be in a world of hurt if we don't actually pass and codify protections to keep that from happening in the future.
Absolutely. So, what would you say to the voters in Georgia's 14th who are still deciding who to vote for on March 10th?
I would say it's very clear. It's very simple. If you're looking for someone who is a proven constitutionalist fighter, who's willing to give up their own liberty and in the fight for liberty itself, then I'm your guy. And ultimately, you got to recognize this is a battle of good and evil right now. I'm not afraid of the devil. I'm willing to give it up all to go fight for freedom. And you've got two options. Essentially, it's kind of a two-man race at this point. And my opponent has already said, he's going to do whatever the Speaker of the House and whatever the president tells him to do. So he's just giving up his voting card, the people of Northwest Georgia's representation, to the swamp in D.C. And I will never do that. But ultimately, it's going to take you as the voter getting to the polls. Early voting in Northwest Georgia has already started. The election is March 10th. You can go to my website, coltonmoore.com/volunteer, and you can sign up to be a grassroots warrior, going out, knocking doors, waving signs. We have about 100 already that are registered out there working hard for us, because we're being outspent probably 5-1 right now. The DC swamp money does not want me to get elected. And I mean, there's a commercial for my opponent, every other commercial when you watch television right now. So if you can donate, coltonmoore.com/donate, and help us out, because ultimately that money is going to be spent right away and it's going to keep us in the fight.
Well, Colton, thank you so much for coming on to talk with us about what you plan to do in Congress for Georgia's people. Once again, Colton Moore running for Georgia's 14th Congressional District, special election, March 10th. Early voting has already started. So if you're in Northwest Georgia, this race directly affects you. And if you're anywhere else, share it with those who you know who are in Georgia so that we can hold our government accountable to protect constitutional limits of government, to expand transparency, and to ultimately protect health freedom. This is a race to watch closely, friends. Thank you so much, Colton, for joining us.
Ms. Wilson, thank you so much.